Hello everybody, Lone Wolf Rick here, and it's currently Saturday afternoon, July 16th here on the Las Vegas Strip, about 2 p.m. at the start of this video. Currently 108 degrees. Here it's looking for a high of 110 is what they were telling us, so I'm just out roaming around, walking the strip, seeing what's going on. We'll take a look here and see how many brave souls are out here walking around, just like me. We'll head over towards the Park MGM and see what the crowd looks like here on the outside. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We'll go through this way and we'll cut across the Shops at Crystals. For those of you that may not have, we're coming in here to the shops, may not have seen my video first thing this morning, Station Casinos, now basically called Red Rock Resorts, has made the decision to tear down what used to be Texas Station and the two Fiesta properties, the Fiesta Rancho and the Fiesta Henderson. For those of you who are real familiar with Las Vegas, those three properties closed, it's like during the pandemic in March of 2020 and never reopened. And actually Station Casinos had kind of not restructured, but kind of refocused to become more upscale for the local market. And those properties never really met what they were looking to do. You know, the two properties on Rancho were kind of a older section of town. The demographics aren't, you know, what they were striving for. And I'm not sure if they tried to sell them or not. And I'll be honest with you, this, like I said this morning, the property on US 95 in Henderson kind of surprised me, because that property's in a pretty prime location. But what they're going to do is they're going to tear those properties down and then try to sell the land. I mean, I'm not sure. I would think the one that's like on US 95, it's like that land would be pretty prime and would get a pretty good price for it. You know, and I know they know what they're doing as far as, you know, it's more valuable, the land's more valuable without the buildings on it than it is with the buildings on it. But it'll be interesting to see what those two properties on Rancho, because basically they're side by side, separated by a road, but they're side by side. So it'll be interesting to see. It's like what those properties bring as far as the money value. You know, it was interesting because they all filed. It's like, you know, the thing to keep your licensing going, you have to file every year, and they just filed in June for a non-operational licensing as far as their gaming license goes for those properties. And what that means is for twice a year they would have to provide some gaming. It's like at those properties, and normally what they do is they just pull up a big van or whatever with some slot machines in it, and yeah, they play a few dollars, and that's sufficient enough. So it's not like it's a big deal. But they applied for that and were granted it till June of next year. And then somebody broke the glass here. And then they just decided you know, the word was is they were gonna do that anyway. There's the big stockholder meeting for that property or that company is next year, or next month in August. And the word was is that was going to be what the decision was. They just kind of announced it before the stockholder meeting. Another escalator down. Now they're actually building, that company's building a news property off of the 215 and Durango, appropriately enough be called Durango Station, which is a more upscale. It'll be more like Green Valley Ranch and Red Rock Casino, which are kind of their two premier properties right now. You know, there's besides those two properties, Red Rock and Green Valley Ranch, they own Boulder Station, that's on Boulder Highway, and Sunset Station, and Palace Station. And they also own the Wild West little gaming halls that are kind of smaller, smaller local places. And they're actually building a new one of those. It's like downtown off of Charleston and where the old Showboat Hotel used to be. If for those long-time Vegas people, if you remember, that was. They actually had sold big parts of that land, and there's apartment buildings and stuff being built. They're built there, or they are built there, and then there'll be the Wild Wild West property would be part of that complex right there. So that was kind of the big news from yesterday. And it is definitely toasty today. You can see it's like from the trees and everything. It's like not much of a breeze today. Hardly any breeze, to be honest with you. At 108 degrees. You know, what I don't really talk about much is like, even at nighttime, you know, when it gets to midnight, it's still, you know, usually in the mid to upper 90s. And I know, as an example, like tonight, I think the low's supposed to be like 89 degrees. Part of living here in this Southwest desert. Alright, so we're coming up here on the Park MGM. The Crack Shack. And I mentioned yesterday, because They're home of like it's a really good fried chicken from what I understand. But I mentioned yesterday that Hash House A Go-Go was actually named, it's like for Nevada, the best fried chicken in the state. So we'll try that out one of these days and let you know how it was. Alright, so we're coming up here on the Park MGM, and I'm going to go in and cool off a little bit. I'm Low with Rick. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye bye, everybody.